Imagine standing in front of the Great Pyramid of Giza over 4,500 years ago. Thousands of workers, millions of massive stone blocks, no cranes, no steel, no modern machines. Even today, many engineers struggle to explain how such an enormous structure could be built with ancient technology. So, how did they actually do it?
Imagine standing in front of the Great Pyramid of Giza over 4,500 years ago. For decades, people have proposed incredible explanations: hidden technology, lost civilizations, even alien intervention. But the real story is far more fascinating than most people realize. And unlike the myths, it is supported by archaeology, engineering, and discoveries made only in recent decades. In this documentary, we'll separate fact from fiction. We'll uncover what historians know, what engineers have proven, and what still remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Because the truth behind the pyramids may completely change the way you see the ancient world. Around 4,500 years ago, Egypt was one of the most powerful civilizations on Earth. The Nile River flooded every year, leaving behind fertile land that allowed farming to flourish. Food was abundant, cities expanded, and the kingdom grew wealthier with each generation. At the center of it all stood the pharaoh, a ruler believed to be more than a king. To the ancient Egyptians, he was a living bridge between humanity and the gods. And when Pharaoh Khufu came to power, he envisioned a monument unlike anything the world had ever seen. Khufu's vision wasn't simply to build a tomb. It was a statement of power, faith, and permanence. The monument had to survive not for decades, but for thousands of years. Every stone, every angle, and every measurement had to reflect perfection. The result would become what we now call the Great Pyramid of Giza, the tallest structure ever built by humans for nearly 4,000 years. But there was one enormous problem. The Great Pyramid would require an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks. Many of them weighed between 2 and 15 tons. Some granite blocks used inside the structure weighed more than 70 tons. And all of this had to be transported, lifted, and positioned with astonishing precision, without cranes, engines, or modern machinery. It sounds almost impossible. Yet somehow, they did it. But there was one enormous problem. The Great Pyramid would require an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks. Before a single stone could be placed, it first had to be found. Most of the limestone used to build the Great Pyramid came from quarries located just a few hundred meters from the construction site. Workers carved massive blocks directly from the bedrock using simple tools made of copper, stone, and wood. It was slow, exhausting work, but it solved one major problem. Most of the stone didn't need to travel very far. But not every stone came from nearby. The smooth white limestone that once covered the outside of the pyramid came from Tura, across the Nile. And the enormous granite blocks used inside the king's chamber came from Aswan, nearly 800 kilometers to the south. Some of these blocks weighed more than 70 tons. Moving them across such a distance was an extraordinary challenge. For many years, historians wondered how this was even possible. Then, in 2013, archaeologists made an incredible discovery. Near the Red Sea, they uncovered the diary of an Egyptian official named Mirror. His writings described crews transporting limestone on boats through canals connected to the Nile. It became the oldest known written record of pyramid construction ever discovered. The diary revealed something remarkable. The ancient Egyptians weren't relying on mysterious technology. They were using careful planning, organized labor, and one of the greatest natural highways in history, the Nile River. But transporting the stones was only half the battle. The real mystery was still ahead. How did they lift millions of heavy blocks higher and higher until the pyramid reached nearly 147 meters? Transporting the stones to Giza was an incredible achievement. But the biggest challenge was only beginning. The Great Pyramid wasn't built on flat ground. It rose nearly 147 meters into the sky. Every single block had to be lifted higher than the last. And this is where the greatest mystery begins. Without cranes, without steel, and without modern machines, how did they reach the top? For centuries, people imagined impossible explanations. Giant machines, secret technologies, even visitors from another world. But archaeology tells a very different story. Instead of searching for magic, scientists began searching for evidence. The most widely accepted explanation today is surprisingly simple. Massive ramps. Workers may have dragged the stone blocks on wooden sleds while pouring water onto the sand. Recent experiments showed that slightly wet sand becomes firmer, reducing friction and making heavy loads much easier to move. A small discovery with enormous consequences. But there is one problem. No one agrees on what those ramps actually looked like. Were they straight? Did they spiral around the pyramid? Or were they built inside the structure itself? Every theory explains part of the puzzle, but none answers every question. Just when historians thought they understood the pyramids, technology changed everything. Scientists began looking inside the Great Pyramid without removing a single stone. And what they discovered surprised the entire world. In 2017, researchers using cosmic ray imaging detected a massive hidden void above the Grand Gallery. It was unlike any chamber previously known. To this day, nobody knows exactly why it exists, or what, if anything, it was originally used for. This doesn't mean the pyramids hide supernatural secrets, but it reminds us of something important. Even after centuries of research, we still haven't answered every question. The Great Pyramid continues to surprise the people who study it most. So, how did the ancient Egyptians build the pyramids? The evidence points to something extraordinary. Not aliens, not forgotten super technology, but thousands of skilled workers, brilliant organization, decades of planning, and engineering so advanced that it still earns the respect of modern experts. Perhaps the greatest mystery was never how they built the pyramids. Maybe the real mystery is how a civilization more than 4,000 years ago achieved something that still leaves millions of people in awe today. And that may be even more impressive than the ancient world is filled with mysteries like this, and we've only scratched the surface. If you enjoyed uncovering the real story behind the pyramids, subscribe to Civilizations Prime and join us as we explore the greatest civilizations, forgotten technologies, legendary empires, and the mysteries that shaped human history. Which ancient wonder should we investigate next? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next journey through history.